Brenda. Um, this is an old t-shirt, and I ruined it. I put it in with something red, who knows. I'm going to use this, and it doesn't matter if it's a men's or women's, because we're cutting all these seams off. Women's have cap sleeves and tend to have, or women's have cap sleeves, tend to have a longer neck. It doesn't matter what the neckline looks like, and we're actually, I'm going to make this the back. So all you do is first thing you need to do is cut off all your seams. So I'm going to cut all the way around and cut this completely off. It doesn't have to be perfect cuts. And then you're going to, and see, this isn't great either. This is the wrong t-shirt to use, but you don't want a t-shirt with seams on the sides if you can help it. Here's one that I did, and this is a whole different thing. So let me know if you want me to teach you how to do this one, or I'll do the front one way and the back another way. But here's one that I did. This shirt is too small. I just haven't sewn this down yet. I'm going to sew them down at the same time, but here's one that I did. It's real pretty, and here's what the inside looks like. It's not bad. It doesn't look bad from the inside. It'll wash up just fine and everything. So if you want this, we'll just call this the red one. So if you want me to teach you how to do the red one, I can. It's actually even a little bit faster and easier. I'm going to show you the more difficult one first. So, oh yeah, and also, Brenda, see how most tops, most t-shirts don't have a seam here. So the other yellow one I had, they don't have a seam here. It's better if they don't have a, oops, let me see. It's better if they don't have any seam at the armpit. But I'm just going to use this one, and it helps. Oh, also, it helps if this isn't finished yet. It's got, let me show you close up. It's got these fringes on the other side, and I'll show you what to do with those to get rid of them. This is just a rough one that I just did because I was in the mood to. So when you cut off the sleeves, just start at the armpit and then cut around this seam here on the arms and cut it off. And normally we'll be cutting off all the seams, but I'm only going to do, a few of them at a time. I'm going to pause this. I'm going to cut off the collar, and I'm going to cut off both the sleeves. Okay, so this is the arm that I cut off, but I'm just going to use it as a example. See, when you cut off, what we're going to be doing is when you cut off the seams and you have a raw edge, you can just do this, and then it curls under. And the more you wash it, the less see this curls. And it's supposed to do that for what we're doing. So your cuts like this become less noticeable, but also what we're going to be doing is cutting some fringes. And a fringe, we can make this seam anything we want, but a fringe, you can pull it, and then it'll roll in and become small and not really have any seams. So they all just, if you don't pull them too hard, the seams roll over. You don't need to sew it ever, but you can also shape it. So that's what I'm going to show you how to do. I cut off everything, the seams on the top and the seams in the armhole, and for now we're just going to leave these seams, and we're just going to pull the seams in the armhole. So we're just going to pull them and that's just how you leave them. It's just raw edges and they don't fray, anything like that. But see how even this is not a great cut right here? You can pull it out, and if it doesn't roll over for you, you can trim it off and pull it again, but no one's going to see it. I mean, these things, if I were making them for someone else, I'd probably trim this off what didn't roll over. But the stretchier the t-shirt, the older sometimes the better, but the thinner the t-shirt, the better for this. And women tend to wear, you know, not wear those thick t-shirts anyhow. So anyhow, a thin t-shirt's better than a thick one, and we'll get rid of this. So I've decided that this is going to be the back. Not that we can't make the back and front look the same, but it just so you know, it doesn't really matter. So see, this is just rolling over right here, and this is it doesn't even matter if you have, I don't know if you can see this. Yeah. It doesn't even really matter if you have this printed on thing either, depending on what you're going to do. But for what we're doing, it doesn't matter. Here, Brenda, let me see if I can make this a little bit darker for you. And sometimes that helps. There's a little bit of a glare today, so I'm going to darken this video. Oh boy. There we go. Okay, see how I ruined it? I should just go ahead and tie-dye it, but I mean, I don't care. This is just a throwaway one. Okay, so kind of decide how you want the neckline. And, you know, if you want the neckline scooped or if you want it V'd, decide how you want it. So I want just more of a scoop here. So I kind of want the neckline to go like this. Okay. And how you do that is just to make it even. It really doesn't matter too much if it's even. But you can make this neckline anything you want. We're going to be cutting down like this in lines like this to make this neckline anything we want. So, you know, when we cut down like this, say, you know, this part's going to be shorter than this part. So our fringes are going to be shorter and longer. It doesn't matter. It's just we want to cut down to this line. And I'm trying to find something where I can make a line. Here we go. And you can use something to direct it if you want, but just you know, you could use a bowl or whatever. You would know how to make it. So I'm just gonna pick any neckline. So I'm just gonna go like, I'm gonna pick anything and go like this for my neckline. That's all I'm gonna do. And make sure, you know, make sure they're even. We will be cutting these seams off later, but I'm going to give you the gist of it right here. Okay, so now what we're doing is we're going to be cutting straight down and make these strands about maybe 3/4 of an inch. They can be pretty thick, but we're going to cut straight down to, we're going to cut fringes straight down. Oh, I didn't get both sides. Let me get this. Fringes straight down, and they can be a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch wide, and down to this mark. And if you just line them up, they're not perfectly lined up, but if you just line them up, line up your pieces, that you can cut both of them at the same time. Now don't pull them out yet, but this is how we're going to make, this is going to be our neckline right here. Oops. Let's keep this in frame. Okay. So I'm just going to make these. It won't take very long, so I won't pause it. The angle doesn't even matter a ton either. And they don't have to be like these little things. Don't worry about them. When you pull them, we're going to be getting rid of them. Okay, so see how we're making the neckline just anything we want, right? So what will happen, and we haven't finished this yet, but what will happen is, see, these fall down into this neckline to make it any shape we wanted. And all we have to do is just cut it like that. It makes it any shape we want. And we're using these fringes. We're going to be using these fringes to crochet, to have something to crochet against. Because you've got to have, you've got to have something underneath to crochet. And then I'll show you what we do with these fringes. So this is our neckline. It could be any shape we wanted. So it doesn't have to start off at this shape. It could have been square across. It wouldn't matter. It could be any shape we want because we'll be trimming these up later. Okay, so the next part is you're going to need a little bit. Don't pull these out yet, because I could pull them and straighten them out. We don't want to. Don't pull them out yet. And this one needed to be a little bit wider. You'll see why in a second. So this is the only place I'm going to make another fringe. This is the only place we do this little clip. And we're just going to do a little one of the tiniest little clips before your first fringe, but it'll be rolling over later. And see, this is probably even too big of a clip. So I have a 5 hook. That's the biggest you're going to want to use. You're probably going to want to use a smaller hook. I am going to go to a smaller hook. Okay, so there's our hole. There's where we're going to attach our yarn. I know this yarn doesn't match, and you'll see why it helps to have it match. Now, if you're using variegated yarn, find the part of the variegated that matches where you start. So just cut off the rest, but get to wherever the variegation matches this part, because this part will show a little bit if you're not careful. So anyhow, just tie it off here, and as long as you can get your crochet hook, don't worry about how small the hole is. It's better to have it smaller than bigger. And I'm just going to put one there and pull through a loop. Go back in through the same hole, pull through a loop, and now we've got the beginning of what will be our front side. Well, or front or back, they both look actually nice. Okay, so you're going to be going 2 or 3 stitches between these. So don't pull these yet. I know this one is awkward. I would probably just, if you've got a real awkward one, just snip it and go in the hole. So I'm going to do that because it's my first one. It's not very long, and you'll see why this matters. But we're only going to have to do this once or twice. And do a little snip and go in the hole then. So that's just, you're going to have to go with whatever neckline you chose is going to matter. Okay, so that I only put, because I went in the hole, I only put 2 stitches between. These, with a 4 weight, you're probably going to want to put 3. You're going to want to chain 3 between your fringes. So 1, 2, 3, and then I'll show you this again. I'm going to go around this side. We're going to fold it over, go around this side, and pull through a loop. We're using it like it's already a loop, and then pull through both. So we're just single crocheting around there. I'm folding it over. See how it looks? I'm folding it over. Now I realized that this would pull right out like that. I realize that, and I'll do a couple more and show you how we fix that. But I've got to get to where a little bit longer ones are, because when they're shorter ones, you got to kind of make little snips. Okay, so chain 3 between, and that's just about the size you're going to need. It looks like even if you use a 2 weight. If you use a 4, if you use a smaller weight, that's the most you're going to chain between. 2, 3, and go again. We're gonna fold this over and use it like a loop and pull through. Oops. And oh, sorry, the wide ones, they're supposed to be wide, but they're a little awkward only this first time. Pull through a loop, oops, and then single crochet. And then we're going to fold it over and pull through a loop and single crochet. Oops, I didn't chain between. Yep, see, if you were here, you would have pointed that out. 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to put the yarn or this over the hook, and then we're going to pull through a loop, and then we chain 3. Okay, so what we have on the other side of this, let me put a stitch marker on that so I don't lose it. Okay, so what we have on the other side of this is we have, except for where we put our little snip, we have these big thick fringes, wide fringes. And so obviously we need to keep this from sliding off, and we need to make a front side and a back side. Well, there's a couple ways to do it. I'll just show you both ways. So the reason these are wide is because we're going to snip these in half, and I'll just do it as I go. Snip these in half, and then we're going to pull them out. Like, this isn't as thin. The thinner t-shirts work better. The heavy duty ones don't work as well. Okay, so see these stitches? These would pull off. How we keep them from pulling off is really is super easy. We just are going to tie these together with a square knot, and we're just snipping them and tying them between with a square knot. And don't tie them too tight. You've got to have, remember, look on the other side, we've got a chain 3, so it needs to be that wide. See? And this can't pull out, so you can do some, you can sew these two together or whatever. So this one has one left. We would cut this, pull them out, and tie them together, and then they just stay. Everything stays. The t-shirt doesn't fray, doesn't do anything. When you pull it out like this, it bonds the fibers. But just make sure you've got some distance here, and don't tie this part too tight against here, because you've got to leave room for the chain 3. So I'm going to tie off the last one, and then just show you how to finish it. It's pretty easy. Alright, just so it doesn't pull out on me. So pull out these. See how I cut this really bad? You're not going to see it. You just don't want to cut thinner up towards the top where it could break on you. If it breaks on you, it's not that bad, because I could have even made these a little bit thicker. So this is what I have on the other side, and this is what I have on this side. And so you could leave these, they look just fine, and make this long enough. But to go over the top and to make a seam, let me see, you want to make a seam, and let's see, I'm just going to do a quick, easy kind of trim. Where I start is this works better in the round, but I'll do 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to go here in the middle, and I'm going to single crochet, and I'm going to hold I'm going to hold that single crochet, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to double crochet back into that part that I was holding on to. You see that? Right in here. So it's this part right here. You can double crochet onto here, and it gives it kind of a wavy look. But you know, I was just showing you the more difficult way to do it. And then we're just going to anchor this down with a single crochet, and then we're going to begin another shell. And 1, 2, 3, double crochet, and then we're going to go in here. And I don't even know what this place on the stitch is called. So if you know, that's fine. I'm going to have to teach this on the on that high-low top. On the high-low top, some of them I just single crocheted into here, chain 3, 2, 3, and then I went around the whole chain. And when you do the other layers, it's easier going around than back and forth. You go into this one, and it just makes a pretty thing. So let me see, let me finish this. Oops, it's getting hot in here. And let me do this, and then I can show you what. Oops, that's wrong. Okay, so we have these pieces right here, and I will do this correctly. Thank goodness this isn't a tutorial. Okay, so I need to single crochet this little shell down, this little wave down. See, and here's where I went into the whole thing instead. But I don't care. 2, 3, it doesn't have to be the same. I'll do that again on this one so you can decide the difference. Because if you do another row, obviously you're going to be using this as your base. Alright, and then just slip stitch around here, around the last, in the last piece, see? And this one isn't, this one's is, oh, is that one tied down? No, that one's got the snip in it, so that one doesn't matter. So slip stitch around there, chain 1, turn it over, and then we're going to make it lay down. And how we're going to do that, and it adds a nice trim to the, you know, I would do another layer on here, and then at the V where we start to go back up, you know, I would, you know, put more than one. I'd do something pretty there, but you're going to have to make it wider. But this is how you go over the top of it. You're going to fold this down like this, and here's your stitch. And all I did was 1, 2, I just chained 2, and then I went into this part right here, and oops, single crocheted, and it makes that lay down and leaves a little border. Let me do this again. Chain 2, and then fold this over and find, I don't know what the stitch is. We're just kind of going in the same stitch as when we started. 1, 2. All right, let's get this really close. Okay, so see, this is where we went around that fringe, and here's where they're tied in the middle so they don't come off. So that's the wrong side, that's the right side. And so we want to go into here, and it's not really, you could go around the whole post, but it doesn't lay as nice. So I would go where your single crochet from your beginning, from around the fringe, I would go right in here. Because if you go around the whole post, it really just, it's too bulky, it doesn't lay nice. And then this makes a really nice top. 1, 2, and then we fold this over and we go into this, the top of this post. I don't, it's not a post, I don't know what it is. It's where we began. We're very beginning where we attached. So in chain 2, and I don't know why it's chain 3 and chain 2, but that's just how this works out for what fits in between there, and single crochet. And then I will pull this out and kind of show you what the top did. Now see, on this there isn't an inside or an outside on this. See? So, I mean, this would be the inside of the shirt, this would be the outside. And then see, when we got over to, and then if you have long pretty fringes, but I would just cut them off, and you don't really have to, wherever your border ends up is where you would cut them off at. So you can just cut them off underneath, they're hidden, it's all the same color, you've got this really pretty border on top. And even when you get over, you know, you do something fun right here where it V's down. Let me get right here where it V's down. See, this would be, this is your back side. But your fringes end up over here. And you cut those off. And see, you would just be cutting these off anyhow, so it doesn't matter that that's there. So you would cut those off, and then you wouldn't see them, and this would be the inside of your shirt. So see, if I wanted this to be the back, I obviously folded it wrong. But that's how you do it. And I will, I'm not sure how to show you the other one. Let me post, this is 26 minutes. Let me condense this and post this, and then I'll see what else you want to look at. Bye, hun.